Every morning before the world has a chance to influence your thoughts, your mindset is in a unique neurochemical window, a state where your brain is most impressionable. Cortisol levels are rising, your system is calibrating, and your first thoughts shape the lens through which you'll perceive the entire day. What you say to yourself in those first 5 to 10 minutes isn't just motivational fluff. It directly influences dopamine circuits, your attention system, and even immune function. So today I want to share with you 5 scientifically grounded, psychologically empowering things to tell yourself every morning, simple statements that don't just sound good, but actually rewire your brain, reset your focus, and recondition your energy to move through the day with clarity, confidence, and purpose. Your thoughts in the first 10 minutes of your day are not random. They are powerful neurological signals that shape your emotional tone, cognitive focus, and behavioral momentum for the rest of the day. This isn't speculation, it's grounded in neuroscience. Upon waking, your brain transitions from the delta waves of deep sleep to the faster alpha and beta waves of wakefulness. During this window, there's a natural rise in cortisol, which is often misunderstood as just a stress hormone, but it also plays a crucial role in alertness, energy mobilization, and setting the circadian rhythm. How you direct your thoughts during this period either amplifies or dampens that natural rhythm. Think of your brain as a GPS system recalibrating its coordinates first thing in the morning. The input you give it through your thoughts and internal dialogue serves as the destination you'll begin navigating toward. When your initial mental activity is intentional and positive, you create a neurochemical environment that supports motivation, focus, and emotional resilience. On the other hand, if the first thoughts you allow are reactive, anxious, or negative, your brain will wire in those patterns and carry that emotional residue through the entire day. The prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for decision-making, attention, and rational thought, is particularly sensitive to early-day input. When you wake up and start scrolling through your phone, absorbing chaotic content or external stressors, you prime your brain to be reactive instead of proactive. You hand over control of your cognitive focus to randomness. However, when you take even just a few moments to direct your attention inward and plant purposeful thoughts, you activate circuits associated with agency, clarity, and calm. The hippocampus and amygdala areas associated with memory and emotional processing are also more plastic in the early morning. Whatever you impress upon them becomes more deeply embedded. That's why early morning anxiety can feel so heavy and hard to shake. But it also means that positive affirmations, intentional self-talk, and visualizations are more likely to take root if practiced during this window. Consider the mechanism of dopamine, a neurochemical that governs motivation, anticipation, and reward. The moment you think a thought that aligns with hope, progress, or clarity, your brain gives you a small surge of dopamine. This makes you feel good and more likely to continue down that mental path. In contrast, anxious or self-defeating thoughts can suppress dopamine release, making you feel stagnant and overwhelmed before your day has even started. When you become aware of this process, you can use it deliberately. You can train yourself to replace reactive thoughts with empowering ones. You can choose to tell yourself things that prime your nervous system for creativity, resilience, and productivity. The science is clear: neurons that fire together wire together. So if you start your morning by firing thoughts of gratitude, purpose, and capability, you are literally rewiring your brain to make those thought patterns more accessible. You don't need an hour to do this. Even 1 or 2 minutes of conscious inner dialogue, when practiced consistently, creates measurable changes in attention, mood, and physiological regulation. Think of it as calibrating your emotional and cognitive lens. Everything you experience throughout the day, your interactions, your challenges, your goals, will be filtered through that lens. If your first thoughts are chaotic, the world looks chaotic. If your first thoughts are calm and empowered, your perception follows suit. This is not about toxic positivity or pretending everything is okay. It's about neural framing, deciding how you want your brain to interpret and respond to the world before the world throws itself at you. That 10-minute window is a neurological lever, and it's available to you every single morning. Self-talk is not just a motivational concept, it's a biological event with real consequences for your brain and body. The words you say to yourself, especially in the early moments of your day, are interpreted by your nervous system as signals for how to prepare and behave. These internal narratives influence your focus, your mood, and even your hormonal balance. At the core of this process are two powerful neuromodulators, dopamine and cortisol. Dopamine shapes your ability to stay engaged, to pursue goals, and to experience pleasure. Cortisol helps regulate your alertness and readiness to take action. Together, they create the mental and emotional climate in which your entire day unfolds. When you engage in intentional, empowering self-talk first thing in the morning, you're doing more than psyching yourself up. You're adjusting the settings on your internal operating system. Your brain processes language not only as external communication, but also as internal instruction. Telling yourself, I am focused, I am capable, or I can handle whatever comes my way today activates specific neural networks related to attention, executive function, and emotional regulation. These aren't empty words, they're commands your brain starts to respond to, shaping your physiology to align with those beliefs. Conversely, when your morning self-talk is filled with worry, hesitation, or self-criticism, your brain receives that as a threat cue. That activates the limbic system, particularly the amygdala, which then heightens stress reactivity, suppresses the prefrontal cortex, and decreases your ability to focus or make clear decisions. You might not notice the shift in the moment, but your brain is already operating in a defensive mode. This is why people often feel mentally scattered or emotionally fragile after a rough morning. They've triggered an internal cascade of stress before they've even stepped outside. Dopamine release, in particular, is closely tied to expectation and reinforcement. When you tell yourself something encouraging and then take action that reinforces that belief, your brain rewards you with a dopamine surge. This strengthens the loop between self-talk and behavior. Over time, this becomes a powerful form of self-conditioning, where your brain begins to associate certain patterns of thinking with elevated motivation and goal-directed behavior. That's why people who consistently use affirmations or positive self-statements often report higher levels of energy, clarity, and confidence, not because they're faking it, but because they're training their neurology. Cortisol, on the other hand, follows a circadian rhythm. It peaks naturally in the morning to help you wake up and mobilize energy. If you layer empowering thoughts over this natural cortisol rise, you synchronize your mental state with your body's biological readiness. You essentially tell your system, we're alert, we're focused, and we're ready to move forward. But if you wake up and immediately start worrying or criticizing yourself, you can cause an exaggerated cortisol spike, which over time leads to emotional burnout and physical fatigue. Your brain also uses your self-talk to determine what to filter in or out through the reticular activating system, RAS, a bundle of neurons in the brainstem that decides what deserves your attention. If you constantly tell yourself that the day will be hard, your brain highlights everything difficult. But if you start your day with statements like, I'm learning, I can adapt, or there's opportunity in this challenge, your RAS begins to spotlight moments of possibility, moments of progress. You start to notice the things that reinforce your intention rather than the things that undermine it. This entire process is rooted in neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to rewire itself in response to repeated thought and behavior. Morning self-talk acts as the initial programming input for the day. It influences how your brain will prioritize information, regulate emotions, and pursue tasks. The language you use with yourself doesn't just describe your reality, it constructs it in real time by influencing the biochemical and neurological conditions under which your mind and body operate. What you repeat daily becomes your identity, neurologically and behaviorally. This concept is deeply rooted in the principles of neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to reorganize itself by forming new neural connections throughout life. The more you engage in certain thought patterns, behaviors, and habits, the stronger the neural pathways associated with them become. Essentially, what you focus on, what you say to yourself, and how you act over time rewires your brain, making those mental and behavioral patterns more automatic and ingrained. This is particularly true for your self-talk, the internal dialogue that you have with yourself. Self-talk is more than just a mental conversation, it's a powerful process of neurological reinforcement. Every time you repeat a thought, whether positive or negative, you are strengthening the corresponding neural network in your brain. The more often you repeat a thought, the more automatic it becomes. For example, if you repeatedly tell yourself that you are confident and capable, your brain begins to organize itself around this belief. Over time, this belief becomes a part of your subconscious programming, and your behavior aligns with it without much conscious effort. On the other hand, if your daily self-talk is filled with self-doubt, fear, or negativity, you are reinforcing those pathways in your brain as well. In this case, your brain becomes wired to automatically expect failure or struggle, even when the situation doesn't warrant it. This is why people often feel trapped in cycles of negative thinking and behavior. The more you think a certain way, the more your brain expects that pattern to continue. But this is not a fixed state, it's a dynamic process. Just as negative thought patterns can become ingrained, so can positive, empowering ones. The process of self-conditioning is also a matter of habit. As with any habit, the key to change is repetition. Repeated actions and thoughts strengthen the neural circuits that support them. It's why habits, whether good or bad, become so difficult to break. They are etched into the brain's structure through consistent reinforcement. But the same principle applies to positive habits. If you repeatedly tell yourself that you are focused and capable, and if you consistently act on that belief, your brain will eventually adopt it as part of your identity. It will become harder to think of yourself in any other way. The key here is to understand that identity is not fixed, it is fluid, shaped by the daily thoughts and actions that you engage in. Your self-identity is the sum of the repeated thoughts and actions you take. If you want to transform who you are or how you experience life, you need to consciously choose the thoughts and behaviors you want to reinforce. You need to be intentional about what you say to yourself each day and about how you act in the world. Over time, these thoughts and behaviors will accumulate and create a new version of yourself. This process also extends beyond just self-talk. Your behaviors, too, reinforce your identity. When you consistently engage in actions that align with your goals and values, you build an identity around those behaviors. For example, if you make a habit of exercising every morning, your brain begins to recognize you as an active person, reinforcing that identity. The more you repeat the action, the more ingrained it becomes, and the more difficult it becomes to break out of that identity. This works in both directions. Positive behaviors build positive identities, and negative behaviors reinforce negative identities. The power of repetition is not only about shaping who you are today, it's also about shaping who you will be in the future. The thoughts and behaviors you engage in now are not just preparing you for the present moment, they are laying the foundation for your future self. The more you engage in positive thoughts, self-talk, and behaviors that align with your goals, the more you are priming your brain for success, resilience, and growth. You are literally building a future version of yourself that is empowered, capable, and aligned with your deepest values. This is the essence of transformation. It is a cumulative process of consistent, intentional reinforcement. By choosing what you repeat daily, whether in thought, word, or action, you have the power to reshape your identity and, in turn, transform your life. It's not about making drastic changes overnight. It's about the small, consistent steps that add up over time. It's about consciously choosing to repeat thoughts and behaviors that align with the person you want to become, knowing that over time, those repetitions will shape your brain, your identity, and your life. Morning affirmations are more than just positive statements. They are deliberate, intentional acts of mental programming. In the quiet moments after waking, when your brain is transitioning from the sleep state into full wakefulness, your mind is highly impressionable. The thoughts you allow to occupy your mind at this moment have a profound impact on the rest of your day. By choosing specific, intentional affirmations, you're not only reinforcing positive beliefs about yourself, but you're also training your brain to activate the neural circuits that will help you achieve your goals and navigate challenges more effectively. The brain is naturally biased toward the negative. This is an evolutionary trait designed to keep us alert to potential threats. However, the downside of this bias is that we tend to focus more on what's wrong, what's lacking, or what might go wrong, rather than what's going well or what's possible. This is why positive affirmations are so powerful. They counteract this natural tendency and redirect your focus toward what is empowering, hopeful, and achievable. By repeating affirmations in the morning, you are intentionally shifting your mental focus to areas of strength, opportunity, and possibility. For affirmations to be effective, they must go beyond vague or generic statements. The more specific and emotionally resonant the affirmation, the more effective it will be. Instead of saying, "I am confident," try something more detailed and personalized, such as, "I am confident in my ability to handle any challenge that comes my way today." This specific affirmation not only reinforces your sense of self-assurance, but also creates a mental framework for how you will approach the day's challenges. It provides you with a clear mental image of yourself successfully navigating whatever obstacles might arise, which in turn prepares you to handle those challenges with resilience and composure. Emotions are a key component of affirmations. Simply stating positive phrases without any emotional connection to them will not yield the same results as affirmations that evoke genuine feelings of belief and empowerment. When you repeat affirmations, you need to engage with them emotionally. Feel the truth of the affirmation in your body and mind as you say it. The more you infuse your affirmations with emotion, the more likely it is that they will make an impact on your brain's chemistry. This emotional engagement triggers the release of dopamine and serotonin, which not only improve your mood, but also strengthen the neural pathways related to those positive beliefs. Another key element of affirmations is that they must be present tense. Your brain does not respond well to future-oriented or hypothetical statements. Instead of saying, "I will be successful," affirmations like "I am successful" create an immediate sense of ownership over that quality. The present tense statement signals to your brain that you already possess the traits, abilities, and mindset needed to achieve success. This in turn activates the neural pathways associated with those qualities, making it easier for you to act in ways that align with the affirmation throughout the day. The consistency of your affirmation practice is crucial. The more you repeat these statements, the more they become ingrained in your subconscious mind. Your subconscious mind plays a massive role in shaping your behavior, and when you consciously repeat empowering affirmations, you are gradually reprogramming your subconscious to align with those beliefs. Over time, these affirmations become part of your default mindset, and you begin to respond to situations in a way that reflects the empowered, confident person you have been affirming yourself to be. Affirmations also create a framework for personal accountability. When you say to yourself, "I am capable of achieving my goals today," you are setting an internal expectation that you will act in alignment with that belief. This expectation can drive your behavior throughout the day. You are less likely to procrastinate or avoid challenges because you have already established a mental commitment to success. You are giving yourself permission to succeed and take action toward your goals. In this way, affirmations can serve as a powerful tool for reinforcing discipline and commitment. In addition to their psychological benefits, affirmations can also have physiological effects on the body. When you engage in positive self-talk and affirmations, you create a state of calm and focus that positively impacts your nervous system. Your brain releases feel-good chemicals, such as dopamine and serotonin, which help reduce stress, improve mood, and enhance cognitive function. This state of physiological balance allows you to approach your day with clarity, energy, or sense of well-being. Through this process, affirmations transform from mere words into a tool of self-empowerment. They serve as a foundation upon which you can build a more confident, focused, and purposeful mindset. The more you practice them, the more you reshape your internal landscape, and the more you align your thoughts, emotions, and actions with your highest potential. As a result, you are not just setting yourself up for a successful day, you are also creating lasting change in how you see yourself and how you approach the world. The way you start your day sets the tone for everything that follows. The first few moments after waking are critical because they shape your mindset and emotional state for the rest of the day. One of the most impactful things you can do in the morning is to focus on your goals, big or small. By directing your thoughts toward your objectives, you create a mental framework that primes you for success, motivation, and clarity. This intentional focus on your goals in the morning activates key cognitive and emotional processes that can help you stay on track throughout the day. When you wake up and immediately think about your goals, you are consciously choosing to activate your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for decision-making, planning, and goal setting. This part of the brain thrives on clear intentions and focus. By directing your mind toward your goals, you are essentially giving your brain a roadmap for the day, providing a sense of purpose and direction. Your prefrontal cortex helps you stay organized, manage your time, and prioritize tasks. It allows you to make decisions that align with your larger vision, which can lead to increased productivity and a greater sense of accomplishment. Focusing on your goals in the morning also triggers the release of dopamine, a neurotransmitter that is linked to motivation, reward, and pleasure. Dopamine plays a crucial role in how we experience motivation. It's the chemical that makes us feel good when we achieve something or make progress toward a goal. When you focus on your goals, even if they seem distant, you activate the brain's reward system. Your brain begins to anticipate the satisfaction of achieving those goals, which in turn increases your motivation to take action. This creates a positive feedback loop. The more you focus on your goals, the more dopamine your brain releases, which makes you feel good and motivates you to continue working toward them. In addition to motivating you, focusing on your goals in the morning enhances your ability to handle challenges. Life is full of obstacles and setbacks, but when you start your day with a clear focus on your objectives, you are mentally preparing yourself to face adversity. Goals give you a sense of purpose, and this sense of purpose can act as an anchor when things get tough. Knowing what you are working toward allows you to reframe challenges as opportunities for growth rather than as roadblocks. It helps you maintain a positive, resilient mindset in the face of difficulties because you have a greater sense of what you're aiming for. When you focus on your goals, you are reinforcing your belief in your own potential. The act of thinking about what you want to achieve combined with the actions you take to move toward those goals strengthens your belief in your own capabilities. This self-efficacy, the belief in your ability to accomplish tasks and face challenges, is a powerful force. It's linked to higher levels of motivation, persistence, and performance. The more you focus on your goals, the more you build a positive feedback loop that reinforces your confidence in your ability to achieve them. Starting your day with a focus on goals also enhances your sense of control over your life. It's easy to feel overwhelmed or disconnected when you wake up and immediately feel bombarded by external pressures, work, responsibilities, social expectations. However, by consciously choosing to direct your attention toward your own goals, you take back control. You remind yourself that your day is yours to shape and that your actions have the power to lead you in the direction you want to go. This sense of autonomy is vital for maintaining motivation and avoiding burnout. When you feel like you are in control of your own destiny, you are more likely to take initiative and make proactive decisions that move you closer to your goals. Additionally, the simple act of focusing on your goals in the morning helps you establish a mindset of clarity. It clears away distractions and sets a mental intention for the day, rather than allowing the noise of the world or the chaos of your to-do list to dictate your energy. You are choosing to center yourself on what matters most. This clarity helps you prioritize effectively, stay focused on the tasks that will move you forward, and avoid getting sidetracked by less important matters. When you wake up and begin your day by focusing on your goals, you're not just mentally preparing yourself for success, you are also physically aligning yourself with your intentions. Your brain, nervous system, and body all respond to your thoughts and mindset. The act of focusing on your goal sets in motion a series of mental and emotional processes that increase your likelihood of achieving them. Over time, this simple practice of goal focus in the morning can have a profound impact on your overall success, fulfillment, and happiness. The first step toward personal transformation is taking ownership of your thoughts and actions. Your life is shaped not only by what happens to you, but by how you respond to those events. When you recognize that you are the one in control of how you think and how you act, you begin to realize the immense power you hold in creating the life you desire. Personal responsibility means acknowledging that you are the architect of your own fate. It means accepting that while you cannot always control external circumstances, you always have control over your response to them. Many people fall into the trap of blaming external factors, circumstances, people, or events for their unhappiness or failures. While it's true that life is full of challenges and unforeseen events, the way you react to these situations is entirely up to you. When you take responsibility for your reactions, you empower yourself to make conscious choices rather than becoming a passive victim of your circumstances. For instance, if something frustrating happens at work, you can choose to react with anger or frustration, which only drains your energy, or you can choose to respond with calmness and clarity, focusing on what can be learned from the situation or how you can handle it more effectively next time. Your choice determines the outcome. Taking responsibility for your thoughts and actions also involves letting go of the need for validation or approval from others. Many people spend much of their lives seeking external validation, waiting for others to tell them that they are enough or that their efforts are worthwhile. However, the only validation you truly need is from yourself. When you rely on others for affirmation, you give away your power. You allow others' opinions to dictate how you feel about yourself. But when you take full responsibility for your thoughts and actions, you remove the need for external validation. You begin to validate yourself, trusting your own decisions, instincts, and abilities. Another key aspect of personal responsibility is understanding that your past does not dictate your future. The mistakes or misfortunes you've experienced up until this point are not permanent labels. They are simply part of your story. When you take responsibility for your life, you stop using your past as an excuse for staying stuck. You realize that every day is a new opportunity to make different choices and create a different outcome. Whether it's a past failure, a missed opportunity, or a difficult relationship, these experiences don't define you. They are simply lessons that can shape you into a stronger, wiser person if you choose to learn from them and move forward. Personal responsibility also requires you to be honest with yourself about your strengths and weaknesses. It's easy to fall into the trap of self-deception, convincing yourself that you're doing everything you can when reality, you may be holding yourself back due to fear, procrastination, or lack of focus. Taking ownership means facing the uncomfortable truths about yourself and your behaviors. It means acknowledging where you may be falling short, not as a way to beat yourself up, but as an opportunity for growth. If you recognize that procrastination is a pattern in your life, taking responsibility means admitting it and taking proactive steps to change it. It means acknowledging that you have the power to change your habits, create new routines, and overcome self-imposed limitations. When you fully embrace personal responsibility, you also take responsibility for your happiness. Many people mistakenly believe that happiness is something that happens to them, something dependent on external circumstances. They wait for the perfect job, the ideal relationship, or the perfect day to feel happy. However, happiness is a state of mind that comes from within. It is a choice that you make each day, regardless of your external circumstances. Taking responsibility for your happiness means that you no longer rely on others or outside events to determine how you feel. Instead, you focus on what you can control: your thoughts, your actions, your perspective. You choose to find joy in the present moment, to focus on what's going well in your life, and to make decisions that align with your own values and desires. Taking responsibility for your life means being proactive about creating the changes you want. It's not enough to sit back and wait for things to improve on their own. Personal growth requires active participation. If you want to build new skills, improve your relationships, or pursue a new goal, you have to take responsibility for the steps needed to make those changes happen. Waiting for the perfect circumstances or hoping for things to change without taking action will only leave you in the same place. By taking responsibility for your own growth, you understand that change starts with you, your mindset, your actions, and your willingness to take the necessary steps. When you take full ownership of your life, you not only gain greater control over your future, but you also gain a deeper sense of inner peace. You no longer waste time blaming others or dwelling on things beyond your control. Instead, you focus on what you can do right now to create the life you want. This sense of responsibility empowers you to live with intention and purpose, knowing that the quality of your life is determined by the choices you make each day.